So we are here broadcasting live for the GFK Network. I'm joined by Eric Lanigan while we're doing the WWDC coverage. Eric, right now it's the beginning. This is Tim Cook's first WWDC without Steve Jobs present, and Apple's, it's a big move, and we're starting to see already some changes in the company. What are some of the things that you expect to see today at WWDC?
Well, it could end up being one of the biggest announcements, one of the biggest just influxes of Apple products released in a single day, according to the rumors. We might see all new laptops. Where we know we was going to see iOS 6 because we've seen the banners spotted at the where are they, the Moscone Center or the Yuba Buena. I think it's interesting so far. I'm glad we can hear the audio because Tim Cook seems to be coming out of the gate with much more energy, much faster pace than he's been in the past.
Yeah,
so, so far. Looks interesting.
Well, it's big shoes to fill. Steve Jobs has been a vital part of these keynotes, and the one more thing has been the driving force to people being interested. Really, Steve Jobs has changed the way a keynote is delivered, and now we're starting to see Tim Cook kind of taking over and doing a great job at that.
Absolutely. Even Steve Jobs even changed the meaning of the word keynote because it used to mean the speech that kicks off a series of speeches. And it became just anything that Steve Jobs was a part of. So I wonder if they'll continue calling it that. But yeah, we might see a lot of stuff today.
So right now we're seeing a video. They're showing a video of how the iPhone is used. Somebody's in a park walking. So there's really not much news coming forward. So we have a chat room here, and a lot of times we're gonna be looking back at the chat room. We're going to be talking to you guys in the chat room. So if you're in any number of our chat rooms, you can go to gfqlive.tv. We also have a great chat room on JTV right now, about 500 people there chatting away, talking, hanging out. So we do commentary over our feed. We're not just a stream of the keynote. So I know a lot of people are asking, are we going to talk or are we playing the feed? We are going to be commenting during this presentation by Apple. One thing that's been fascinating to me is the fact that it's not only about development. WWDC has kind of shifted, and it's pretty much about any kind of announcement that Apple has.
That's right. That's right. It's become one of their tentpole parts of the year. As we've seen with the Mac products, they've gotten away from making the big announcements of Macs at a big event, reserving the big events more for the iOS devices, which are Apple's current cash cow. So some of the rumors that we may see a huge influx of Macs released today, I don't know, it would kind of be breaking recent tradition.
The iPhone announcement has kind of been pushed back as well, because generally they've been making iPhone announcements along with iOS announcements.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of been split too. But considering the fact that iOS is so broad now because it's covering more than one device, it does require its own kind of development and its own conference. Some of the rumors, just to go back to, we have MacBook rumors, we have Mac Pro rumors, we have the Retina display rumor, even going to Apple TV development rumors. So there's a lot happening with this. And I'm going to go back to the conference while we try to get some more information coming in. Right now they're playing a video. And that's the thing about these things, these conferences. It's very difficult sometimes to kind of predict what they're going to do and how it's going to be presented. But right now they're showing just 3D anatomy on the iPad. So they're showing how the iPad has been used for more than just playing video games and I guess typing and doing emails. Because a lot of times that's what we use it for. I mean, Eric, I know you had the iPad for a short period of time, but did you use it for any real work?
No, I didn't. That's why I ended up sending it back. It was decent for reading web pages on, not the best replacement for a MacBook Air. That's why I'm keeping my fingers crossed today for a Retina display MacBook Air, because that, I've said ever since we had the Retina display on the iPhone, that would put me over the top. I would definitely be getting that.
Yeah. Let's go back to the video, see what's happening over there.
Airbnb makes it very easy for us to do bookings, and they take care of all the financial aspects of it. We don't really think of it as a business. It's more like meeting new friends.
One thing that's fascinating is that they're going to the video immediately. Generally, they hold this for the end.
That's a good point.
I find that very interesting. A lot of this also has to go with protecting the weaknesses of Tim Cook as a speaker.
Yeah. You can't rely on him for all the big entertaining moments.
I think they're going to have to do that, and that might be a reason why they're doing this. But Right now, they're just going through videos. They're just showing it. I'm very excited to see how they're going to incorporate Retina in the laptop. I think that's going to be a big shift as far as computers go and laptops go, the modern PC. I think these high density displays are going to be the thing that everybody's going to have to follow.
I think you're right. I think, we've hit the plateau of what we can really do with CPU. There hasn't been a really compelling reason except for playing HD video in certain games and flash performance for upgrading your computer in the last few years. So Retina display, I think, would be one of the biggest differences that you could make in a current PC generation.
Yeah, it's not about the CPU anymore, which is amazing. I mean, for many, many years, it was all about the CPU and the GPU and who's going to have the faster model. But now we're talking about who has the higher density display and who's, putting out the apps. And it totally shifted the entire way that we perceive a good product from a bad product. It's not about the CPU anymore.
Yep, it'll also be interesting to see how they incorporate the Retina display with the iPhone, of course, because they had a fixed resolution and a fixed aspect ratio. They could just double the dimensions of each pixel, so just quadruple it or square it rather. On the Mac, software is written differently, and it's already not designed for a specific screen size. So will they just double it? Will they, how will other applications handle the increased size? Will things look jagged? How will text look? How will web pages look? If they can pull that off, putting a Retina display with double the DPI into their current product, it may be a first for a successful transition into high DPI PC screens.
Once again, we are covering the Apple keynote, the WWDC presentation put out by Apple. Right now, one of the feeds died, so that's why we've been kind of stalling to kind of get the feedback. But hopefully, we're going to get the feedback. They went out offline for a little bit. This is an interesting thing how no other company has been able to do this. No other company has been able to grab the interest with a presentation like this, with any kind of product. But as soon as Apple says, "Hey, listen, we have an announcement to make," it's all ears, all eyes and ears.
That's right, and it will be interesting to see if whether I don't think we won't learn this by the end of today, but whether a few years out from now, whether Apple will still be putting most of their announcements in keynote form on stage form rather than through a fancy website or some other kind of presentation video. Because we'll have to see, was that just a function of Steve Jobs' popularity and his inherent charisma on the stage, or does Apple really have a secret formula for making successful keynotes that other companies, for whatever reason, just have not tried to adopt?
I don't know. What do you think it is, Eric? Because if you look at what other companies, like let's say Microsoft, Ballmer has come out and tried to do the Steve Jobs type keynote. Very high energy. Ballmer comes out there, but it almost comes out that like he's yelling at you.
Almost.
I mean, he pretty much
he's
literally yelling at you, telling you that the product is good. While Steve Jobs goes on there, he's very nonchalant. He tells you what the product is, and he's very good at convincing people that this is the product that they need. And I was doing an interview with somebody at Blog World, and they were talking about how what makes a good product from a bad product. And I said how it a lot of these products are good. Almost there's a cell phone out there that's better than the next every day, but it all depends on how the company is able to present it to you and sell it to you. That's what really matters. Right now we have Tim Cook back on stage, and I believe he's thanking all the people that have been part of the Apple team and the developer community and how they've been able to create unbelievable apps. And that is something that Apple has an advantage over. They have developers that are interested in developing. And the reason why they're interested in developing is because they're able to make money from this. They're able to make a living. Tim Cook is also saying, we want to deliver more innovation so that you could keep your ideas even further, take your ideas even further, I should say. Today, we're announcing new changes to our notebook lineup, a new version of our OS and iOS.
Ooh, here we go.
Here we go. So right now, they're displaying a picture of Mountain Lion, and they're showing a 6 for iOS 6. Phil Schiller is on stage right now. He's going to talk about the notebook lineup. So here we go. Now there's the changes that are coming up. This is very interesting stuff. The notebooks have been very... I think it's been like 2 years since they refreshed the lineup, right?
Yeah. And in terms of the body shape, I think the last major update to the Pros was in 2008 when they had the They got the black glossy display on the front and the unibody aluminum. And the MacBook Airs were last updated in 2010, which is the model that I have sitting in front of me. So yeah, we may see whole updates to the body chassis as well as the guts.
I'm wondering how much of a change they're gonna do. I'm really curious about that. I don't think it's gonna be that super thin display that everybody thinks we're gonna get.
Do you think they're going to do away with the spinning hard drive in the Pros?
Actually, you know what? That would be a great change.
Yeah, put some SSDs in there. Get it. At the very least, they should do what they've done for some of the iMac models, which is to have a sort of a dual internal drive option. OS 10 doesn't allow you to do that on your own. You have to be a hacker and a Unix expert to do that. But when you buy a certain iMac type, you can get an SSD inside that has the operating system and the page file, the RAM swap file on that. And then your data, your home folder, is actually stored on the magnetic hard drive.
Yeah.
So if they did something, I think that's the least of what they could do for the MacBook Pros, and that would still be a huge benefit.
But do you think that would be too convoluted for them to do?
No, I think they could do it. I think in the quantity that they purchase flash memory and as cheaply as they can get it, I think they could definitely put in a dual system like that.
So I'm looking here. Right now they're talking about the new chipsets. Here's the lineup. So I guess we see a 11-inch, a 13-inch. I believe that's the Air. And is this the Air or not the? No, it's just the MacBooks. I guess we're gonna have a white and black version now. From that picture, I don't know if you see that video, Eric. The picture.
I do. Well, it looks to me like the two Airs and the two
Pros.
Pros, yeah.
Okay, 13 and a 15, or 13 and an 11 and a 13.
It's possible he's just showing the photo as our current lineup.
They're talking about the new chipsets, the third generation Ivy Bridge, Intel's up to 2 gigahertz dual core i7, Turbo Boost up to 3.2 gigahertz, up to 8 gigs of RAM, 60% faster graphics. They're talking about flash up to 512 gigabytes of flash storage.
That's the most they've ever had.
That's the most they've ever done, yeah.
And they're adding USB 3.0.
Oh, here, this is the big announcement. Okay, so not only does it have Thunderbolt, but it also has USB 3.0 on their lineup. Now, which devices are going to have the 3.0? Here's the MacBook Air. I guess the MacBook Air is going to support USB 2.0 and 3.0.
Well, look at that. They're showing. Oh, I see. It's not necessarily a hybrid or not anything special. And they're adding a 720p FaceTime HD camera to, it looks like, the Air.
The Air. So I guess that's catching up to what the MacBook Pro has been, because the MacBook Pro has had this for some time. The last model, I believe it was 720p, the one that I have currently. And they're coming in an 11 and a 13-inch model. They're showing the display. Now, look, this is interesting. The display is not a Retina display. 1366 by 768 display. You're going to have an option of a 1.7. I believe that the highest you're going to get is a dual-core i5, which that's not bad, a dual-core i5 in this device. Or maybe that might be the entry-level one. You're talking about a Intel HD graphics, 4000, 128 gig of flash storage, or 256 flash storage, 7 hours battery life, $11.99 and $14.99 as the pricing. Shipping starts today. But
so far, very, very minor updates, except for the USB 3.
And then the 13-inch is going to be 1440 by 900 as far as the display goes. So we are not getting this high-density display in this model. Very surprised at that.
I wouldn't write it off yet. It is possible that it could be one more thing, or they could be waiting to introduce it with the next ones. But yeah, I'd say it just became a little bit less likely. But I'm holding out a little bit of hope, actually, because it would be uncharacteristic of them to show off a new MacBook Air where really the only difference is USB 3 and a HD camera that's already been on their other models.
So now they're going to talk about the MacBook Airs, MacBook Pros. So they're talking about the third generation Ivy Bridge, up to 2.7 gigahertz quad-core CPU, i7, Turbo Boost up to 2.7 megahertz, 8 gigs of RAM, 60% video. We're updated the MBP processor, I guess the CPU, that's what they're calling it. 2.7 up to 3.7. Here we go. Okay, so the video card is now an NVIDIA GeForce 650M with the new Kepler architecture. 1 gig video memory, 60% faster. I guess 60% is their number that they're playing with this time. I remember last time it was, 33% thinner. So this is also going to have a USB 3.0 slot. I'm very surprised at the adaptation of the USB 3. I mean, I know it's a standard, but they were really pushing this Thunderbolt.
I have to say I'm more disappointed than surprised, because if they were going to do it anyway, why didn't they do it 5 years ago when the rest of the industry had started to do that? You know, they tried to push Thunderbolt. The cables, Thunderbolt cables, are still selling for like $50 with this proprietary Apple supplied chip inside. Really has not seen the adoption in peripherals or other computer manufacturers putting in Thunderbolt. So right now it's kind of a stalled technology.
Here is more specs on this. Unfortunately, the MacBook, the 13-inch, does not have the Retina either. We're looking at a 1280 by 800 display.
I'm surprised with sticking with the 4 gigabytes of RAM, especially on the Airs.
Yeah.
I'm looking back at the. I went back a few slides on the Airs. They got the 13 and the 11-inch Airs, all 4 models maxed out. It looks like they both come with just 4 gigs. I've had 4 gigs on my MacBook Air since I got it 2 years ago, and it's painfully small. I've got to constantly close Safari and quit programs and refresh the memory and everything and restart. So I think they need to boost the RAM more than they apparently think they do.
I guess they look at it as most people don't need more than 13 inches. 4 gigs. I don't know why I said 13 inch, because I'm reading 13 inch. I guess that's their theory. Like, well, most people aren't going to need more than 4. And if they need more than 4, they'll get the 8. And, we'll charge them $400 for an 8 gig stick, which is obscene. I mean, their pricing is obscene for their memory.
Yeah.
Anybody could go and upgrade it. But I'm very surprised at that. By the way, guys, we do have another feed here. So hang tight. We're getting it right now. As I begin to load this up, we're gonna go with that. Eric, I'm very surprised at the display. I mean, I thought this was a done deal.
It may there's something new coming up now. It's under a cloth. There's gonna be an unveiling, I'm seeing.
Uh-oh, here we go.
There's a whole new laptop in the works.
This MacBook Super Air. The Retina Air, maybe.
What could it be? I don't know. Not the 17-inch, I think, because they didn't even show it on the. Oh, that's an important point, I guess. When they showed the 4 laptops on display, omitted was the 17-inch model, as one of the rumors predicted.
Here we go. I got audio from the feed. Let's go to that.
For the future, you want it to be radically thin and light. And of course, you want it to be bold and embrace the newest technologies and be willing to discard the old legacy things so you can make something unlike any other notebook that's been made today. So would you like to see the next generation MacBook?
Here we go.
So the next generation MacBook Pro is the most beautiful computer we have ever made. Well, the first thing you're going to notice from the front, it's dominated by an amazing, magnificent new display. There's never been a notebook that is this gorgeous. But really, if you want to be sharp, let's turn it around to its side. See what it looks like.
Wow, very thin. That looks great.
Little context. Here's my finger. It's thinner than my finger. I mean, even with as close to this, because that display is so radically thin, it is a true breakthrough in engineering. And there has never been a notebook this thin, this light, and this powerful for professional use. Let's bring it back around to the front. Don't worry, we're going to tell you all about it in just a minute. You just have to enjoy for a second how incredible this is. So, close it up for now. Let me go up to the slides and tell you some more about this incredible product. So the new next generation MacBook Pro is 0.71 inches thin. That is remarkable.
Very thin.
Next to the existing current generation MacBook Pro, you see the difference. It's a quarter thinner, but it's a dramatic amount. In fact, let me bring the MacBook Air next to it. And you see, It's about as thin as a MacBook Air.
What's the size of the MacBook Air? How thin is that?
You know, I'm not sure offhand.
4.5 pounds. It is the lightest Pro notebook that we have ever made, even just lighter than the 13-inch MacBook Pro today.
4.5
Probably the
pounds.
most amazing thing about it is this gorgeous display that it's built. It
Right,
is
here
a breakthrough display engineering. Yes, it's record. So small that from a normal working distance, your retina cannot discern those individual pixels. And to use it is absolutely stunning. It's 15.4 inches across, but its pixel density, are you all sitting down? It is 2,880 pixels.
Wow, that's very high res.
4 times the number of pixels in the previous generation MacBook Pro display.
4 times, so they really did just double it.
20 pixels per inch. I know some smarter than they've done the math. It's 5,184,000 pixels. That is the world's highest resolution notebook. And it,
220 pixels per inch, so it's closer in density to an iPad than it is to the iPhone. But at that distance, it should still be Retina.
This display is the best we have ever made. It has higher contrast ratio, deeper blacks. It has a higher angle of view with IPS technology. And best of all, you get the benefit of the glossy display with the rich color, but we've been able to reduce the glare and reflection by up to 75%. With OS 10 Lion, but Lion's been updated to full advantage of the display. So everything you do on it is sharp and beautiful. So the application, like for example, mail. Mail's been updated, so reading your mail is like reading fine print.
So it's only in the 15-inch.
Safari's been updated. Surfing the web can be like experiencing magazine print quality. Many of the applications like iMovie.
The feed seems to be having some issues with the audio.
And iPhoto
There we go.
have been updated. In iPhoto, when you're looking at thumbnail photos in the events view, you're going to see a clarity and level of detail you've never seen before in display. It's cool. And not only the included applications, but we're also updating our professional applications as well to take advantage of the display. We have a major update to Aperture, our professional photo application. And this is a breakthrough for photography.
This should be interesting.
Yeah.
You love working with photos. Not only is the whole UI been updated in every element of the Retina display, but you're now looking at 4 times the resolution of your photos as you work on them. It is absolutely a breakthrough event in photography. And Final Cut Pro 10 is being updated for it as well. And this is remarkable. Because of the density of that Retina display, that video area you see up in the top right, Final Cut, that is 100% pixel for pixel, 1080p HD video.
And if only Final Cut were a decent program, then you might have something.
Yeah.
Magnetic timeline for your video bins, for your effects, and it also takes advantage of the amazing performance of this machine. You're going to be able to have up to 9 simultaneous streams of ProRes video before simultaneous streams of uncompressed video. It is incredible performance. Now, applications do have to be updated to take advantage of this Retina display. If they aren't, we can pixel double them and make them the proper size. They don't get the best effect until they do some extra work. So we've been working with some key developers to give them a look of this incredible machine and this amazing display, and they're doing some work that's phenomenal. Let me give you a couple of examples. Adobe Photoshop. The great team at Adobe is doing amazing work on a version of Photoshop that will just be jaw-dropping. The resolution on that Retina display is just great. So if you like working with Photoshop, this is going to be an amazing experience. Autodesk is work on a new version of AutoCAD. It takes advantage of the Retina display. It allows a level of detailed work and design.
I mean, this is going to, the importance of this is not just for Apple. The display is going to affect how every other PC laptop manufacturer puts out a product.
Yeah, it's also going to change the whole nature of the supply chain.
Oh my
Everyone's going
God.
to be clamoring to build these higher resolution displays.
And this is the advantage that they have. They probably have bought up most of the supplies.
That's right. Yeah, probably every Retina display in existence is owned by Apple.
Unlike any other. Well, that display. Everything inside this next generation MacBook Pro has been reinvented, especially to drive incredible design and incredible performance. Let's take, well, before I take the bottom off, isn't the bottom of our computer prettier than anyone else's?
Apparently he's having some issues again with the audio, so let's...
Inside, you're the first to see the inside MacBook Pro. It is a stunning work of engineering. You're obviously can see that the inside is dominated by a battery pack. Because to drive that Retina display and all the performance...
Look at that battery pack.
And something so thin and light takes tremendous...
Bizarre. Look how weird that looks, huh?
Our engineering team understands
like stair steps.
Yeah.
Work and asymmetric battery pack. And here are a few things. What you're going to find inside is the fastest processors we can put into a notebook. Quad-core i7 processors, up to 2.7 gigahertz.
Okay, I mean, that's not that crazy of a change.
Fastest memory we can put in, but more of it. You figure with up to 16 gigabytes of system.
But nobody's going to get the 16 gig. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Graphics, the new Kepler architecture, up to gigabyte of video memory. And of course, it's built around flash storage. When we look forward, that is the proper thing to build it around. And you just heard how much faster flash is, but now you can figure with up to 768 gigabytes.
Wow.
Okay, so what are they putting in there?
768 gigabytes, almost a terabyte,
Almost a
of flash
terabyte.
memory, if you will.
SSD.
So it's easy. All this high performance components. How's the battery life? We're really proud that we're getting up to 7 hours of battery life for 30 days of standby.
How much is this thing going to be, Eric?
Ports on it. Here are the right side.
2,000, 1,500, I don't know.
For your photos and videos.
I say 25.
For the first time in a Mac notebook, HDMI, so you can plug right into your TV or projection system and go.
They went HDMI.
You're kidding.
Wow.
We took MagSafe, but we had to make it even thinner to fit into a design like this. And now 2 Thunderbolt ports. And this customer is perfect for utilizing all the new things coming out. I'll give you an example. You can store all your applications and your OS on the internal drive.
By the way, I don't see any optical on this thing, Eric. There's no optical drive.
Here's a new Promise drive.
Makes sense.
It's flash.
Also sounds like no option for a magnetic hard drive.
Megabytes a second of read performance. It's remarkable. Or camera. This brand new camera that was just announced at NAB. Black Magic. It's a simple 2.5K camera. Flash-based camera, and all its I/O over Thunder. It's remarkable. It's the hit of NAB. And we support like technology over Thunderbolt. Right on top.
So I'm gonna lower this until the audio gets better. But there's 2 Thunderbolt ports, and HDMI, which I'm shocked.
Is it HDMI as the preferred display out, or just as an optional, like for a TV?
It's an optional, but they have 2 Thunderbolts, and HDMI, 2 USB 2.0, 3.0 combined, headphone jack, and SD card. I mean, we always talk about, what life for Apple will be like after Steve Jobs. This is it. This is the device.
No FireWire, interestingly.
No FireWire.
Or gigabit Ethernet. Both of those are now sold as dongles.
Yeah.
Probably very expensive accessories to the Thunderbolt port.
Via Thunderbolt. So we've eliminated optical from the previous model. We've added USB 3.0. We've added HDMI. And we've eliminated Ethernet. So now it comes as a dongle. This is very interesting. And we're seeing these adapters right now. There's a FireWire 800, a gigabit adapter, I guess it's the same trackpad, or are we talking about a new trackpad because they're showing the trackpad now?
Dual microphones, I guess, for echo cancellation.
You have to.
What do you think they're going to call it?
The new MacBook Pro. But you know what's fascinating? Why didn't they do this for the 13-inch? Now this is the interesting thing. The 13-inch and the standard 15-inch have not changed, so that's not going to really affect pricing. This is going to be their flagship device.
Yep. I'm betting it's going to come in right at about $2,000.
Yeah, I don't know. Might be a little more. I mean, you're talking about that display and the battery, and I'm guessing it's flash storage only.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So that's going to drive up the price. I mean, this is not going to be a cheap device. For professionals, yes, it's probably going to be worth it if you're doing video editing or photo editing. It might be worth it, but as far as a consumer, I mean, $2,500 is a big jump from the standard, $1,500 average that people are spending. I also want to remind everybody, we have 700 people here on JTV watching us. If you go to our website, gfqlive.tv, our main chat room is there. You can interact with us. We have a number of feeds happening. I'm joined by Eric Lanigan. You can follow him on Twitter at Eric Lanigan. I'm at Andrew Zarian on Twitter. And, of course, you can follow the GFQ Network at GFQ Network on Twitter. I'm going to go back to the video just about now, if I can find it. Here we go.
We knew that an all-flash architecture was a key part of driving performance. Flash delivers data up to 4 times faster and uses just 10% of the space that a traditional hard drive would use. When you combine that with the most powerful graphics chips, the latest quad-core processors, and the fastest RAM available, you end up with a machine that's incredibly responsive. Loading and working with your content is amazingly fast because we packed this machine with the latest I/O. It has 2 Thunderbolt ports, 2 USB 3 ports, and 1 HDMI port. With all of this performance, the new MacBook Pro gets up to 7 hours of battery life, and it's only 0.71 inches thin. That's 25% thinner than our previous generation MacBook Pro, and it weighs just under 4.5 pounds.
The new MacBook Pro would seem to be a complete contradiction. It's built for extreme levels of performance, but at the same time, it's remarkably portable. To create it, we rigorously question.
Now, do you think this is going to dive into the Air sales? Because now the MacBook Pro is pretty thin.
Yeah, I think they're. I think because they kept the RAM and the specs pretty low on the Airs, I think they're positioning those as sort of the entry-level laptop now, sort of the replacement for the MacBook. And I think that this may be priced so it's the Pro or luxury jump up from the Air.
I mean, it's a stunning device. If we're talking about specs, it's very high in the specs. We're talking, a fast computer with a beautiful display. This is groundbreaking for the computer industry. I mean, we have not seen anybody go this high in a display ever.
At that size, certainly. And I wonder if they might also introduce a Retina display desktop monitor, especially if they do a new Mac Pro. But I'm not sure. We still don't know if the Mac Pro will even exist beyond this year.
Yeah, that's actually fast. I think that we might have one more year with the Mac Pro.
With updates or just as is?
I think with updates. I think they'll. I mean, it won't be a big announcement, but I think they'll update it to the Ivy Bridge processor, and they'll sell that one more year.
Do you think we might see a Retina display iMac today?
That's very interesting. Now, we have to look at the pricing. How can they? I mean, we're going much larger in the display, but how are they going to keep the pricing at the same price point? That's the uphill battle that they have, and also are the manufacturers of these displays able to produce a Retina display that big at a cost-efficient, target point?
That's a good point. Maybe it's an issue of quantity and supply. Maybe that's why they could only do it on one model right now. Maybe that's the reason. Our
chat room is speculating. We're seeing prices up as $29.99. We're seeing $1,750 to $2,500. I think we're looking at a $2,500 price range for this device. Right now, we're playing a video. You're watching the WWDC coverage here on the GFQ Network. I'm actually very surprised that they announced it in this manner. I thought they were going to go with the smaller sizes first. They were going to say, okay, well, you're going to be able to get Retina all across the board, not just one MacBook Pro model.
Yeah.
Because I like the 13-inch display. The 13-inch is excellent for me. I'm not a big fan of the 15-inch because I take this on the go, but I also need something a little faster than the MacBook Airs. I'm very surprised that they haven't been pushing it. Now, I'm wondering if it's because they can't really get the supply out there for all these different sizes. 15.6 is the most popular display size out there.
Yeah, that could be. They might have all kinds of supply chain issues that are making this the only one they can offer at this time.
To go back to the chat room, I'm looking here. A lot of people are speculating, what the pricing is going to be. We're not going to get an iPhone 5 announcement, that's for sure. We're not going to get an iPad announcement. The flash memory is a big deal because now we got rid of optical, so now we have flash, but that's also going to drive the price. So let's go back to the cover, see what's happening.
your other begins with that Retina display, a 2.3 gigahertz quad-core i7, a full 8 gigs of 1600 megahertz memory, NVIDIA GT 650M with a full gigabyte of onboard video memory, 256 gigabytes of that fast flash storage.
So starting is $256, $21.99 price point.
It's $21.99.
Wow.
That's actually very good. Not a bad price point for that device.
Incredible quality, but also our work environmentally friendly as well. So make sure we bring up this checklist as we have in the past. It is now Energy Star 5.2, arsenic, mercury-free glass, EFR-free, PVC-free, and of course the glass and the high-grade aluminum is really desired by recyclers. So we're really proud of the works on this aspect as well. So the new next generation MacBook Pro with Retina display, it is the future, and the best thing is it's going to start shipping today.
So you could go and order it today.
Wow. Or just go to an Apple store and just admire it.
Get your credit cards ready, folks. $21.99 for the MacBook Pro.
Our notebook lineup. A great update to MacBook Air, great update to the existing architecture. MacBook Pro, for the first time, the high end of our line, the new flagship, the next generation MacBook Pro with Retina display, simply the best computer Apple has ever made. Well, next, I'd like to talk to you about OS 10, and I'd like to bring up Craig Federici to do that.
So there should be an OS 10 release date for Mountain Lion very, very soon. I'm assuming they're going to announce it today for a mid-July release.
Yeah, this
or
summer,
early
I think,
July.
and probably the developer preview, or at least the Gold Master, will be available soon for developers.
Within the next week or so. I'm sure it'll be released. But here we go with the OS 10 announcement.
Mac has been doing great. We have 66 million Mac users now, triple what we had just 5 years ago. Our latest release is Lion. And Lion was the first release distributed electronically via the Mac App Store, making it easier than ever to purchase, download, and install OS 10. And the results have been fantastic. We had 26 million copies shipped to date, making it our best-selling release ever. In fact, 40% of OS 10 users are running Lion. And that's a level we achieved in just 9 months. As the basis of comparison, Windows 7 took 27 months to get to that same level. And now, less than 1 year later, we're here to announce Mountain Lion. With Mountain Lion, our mission remains the same: to deliver the world's most advanced operating system for notebook and desktop computer, with an interface optimized for multi-touch trackpad and mice. And at the same time, Lion makes it more natural than ever to work with the other new devices in our lives. Now, Mountain Lion is a major release with over 200 new features. And this morning, I'd like to detail just 8 for you. And we're going to start with iCloud. Now, since its introduction in October, iCloud has taken off like a rocket with 120.
And there goes the audio on the feed.
I see an interesting new icon. It looks like a clock with a like some kind of a sleep timer.
We automatically configure all of these applications to work with iCloud. So whether you're working in your mail, with your contacts, your calendar, all of your content is up to date across all of your devices. And with Mountain Lion, we introduced 3 great new apps optimized for iCloud. Messages, which brings iMessage for the first time to Mac, reminders, and notes. But we're also bringing integration for your document-based apps, Mountain Lion, with a feature we call Documents in the Cloud. Now, Documents in the Cloud does 2 important things. First, it provides a simple new way to access and organize your documents. When you launch an app like Pages, it comes up with a document library of all the Pages documents you have in the cloud, organized chronologically, so the newest ones are easy to find right at the top. And second, Documents in the Cloud makes these document libraries available and up to date across all your Macs and all of your iOS devices. Now, we've adopted documents in the cloud on all of our key document-based applications, like Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, and system apps like Preview, TextEd. And we have a developer SDK so that developers can add the support in their apps as well. Well, that's iCloud, and I'd like to give you a quick demo now.
So they're going to be demoing iCloud. I guess this is a big push for them, to keep an iCloud afloat and really pushing it as a standard for all Apple devices.
See, we have a gorgeous new top image and a beautiful.
So we're getting a demo right now of iCloud.
Yeah, they're still having some audio issues. I have to say though, if so far their little box full of icons here.
I'm looking at this. Yeah, I'm looking at this.
It's I really hope this gives us something more than the features of iOS. The basic stock applications like the calendar and address book from iOS. I don't really think that constitutes a brand new version of Mac OS 10. I guess they think otherwise.
Yeah, as far as what I've seen from the latest version of OS 10, and what they've done over the last couple of years, that we're getting these small, almost like service pack updates rather than a large refresh of the operating system. I believe Leopard was the last major, relaunch of the operating system for them. Everything else has been incremental, very small tweaks here and there.
Which I don't have a problem with in theory, except that the features that they're putting in are really just to bring the Mac. To bring features over from the iPad as opposed to having really new innovative features for the Mac.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're just displaying the calendar app and how that's working and synchronizing your contacts and your events and your calendars. So nothing exciting here. I'm not a big fan of their new messenger for iChat, the iChat replacement. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think it really works the way it should. I'm hoping that they kind of tweak this, but we still have not heard anything about Apple TV, which I'm very surprised about. I thought they were going to open up the SDK for Apple TV, unless that's the last one more thing. But that would be a big story to kind of keep for the last 5 minutes.
And by Apple TV, you mean the existing Apple TV?
The existing
set-top
Apple
box.
TV. Yeah, the existing Apple TV. I don't think we're going to get any information on any kind of Apple TV. And, for all we know, there is no Apple TV.
Right.
What Steve Jobs could have potentially been referring to when he said he's going to revolutionize, the TV, or he fixed it, he's talking about applications on the television, integrated, much like we've seen with Google TV and Roku and everybody else that's doing it. But I would imagine that if this is the developer conference, you would have a big announcement on the development of this set-top box that you have.
Maybe, but speaking of the changes to the Messages app, it looks like you are getting a little bit of what you want. They got a new layout for it. Looks a little bit more like iChat and a little bit more looks kind of like iChat meets Mail, Apple Mail. You got the names on the left. What do you think about that? You like that?
I actually do like that. Let's see if the audio is kind of fixed here.
And I'm working here on a poster, so I'm going to open that up. Now, it turns out, of course, because this is in my cloud library, that it's also available to me on my phone, where I also have a copy of Pages running. And so
this actually looks good. So he's showing Pages and all that, but I'm the boring stuff now. But yeah, they did tweak it. It looks a lot better. I mean, it looks more standardized than what we had before. Did you try out the new Messenger? What do you think of it?
The new
iMessage.
I didn't, did I? I'm thinking of FaceTime, the FaceTime beta, and then the other one. No, I haven't put on the Messages because I didn't want to lose my iChat. I used other features like the screen sharing in iChat, and I hated how they made you uninstall iChat permanently.
I actually was not an iChat user. I always stuck to a third-party chat client, like Audium or something like that. But I recently, after I did my format, I went to iChat, and I really like it. I mean, it works great, and I'm thinking, why didn't I ever use this in the first place? I always use something else.
So it had a great interface.
Yeah.
It's and I have to say, so far we haven't seen a lot of new stuff. I mean, it's kind of like iChat minus. So iChat came out in like 2002. So the interface hasn't really changed a whole lot in 10 years. Not that interesting so far.
Yeah, let's see if what they're doing now with the coverage.
From the right-hand side of your trackpad, you can slide out and reveal Notification Center with notifications from all of your applications. When you're done, you just slide it back. Now, alerts are for things that you want to make sure you don't miss. So they come in the same elegant way, but they stay around until you dismiss them explicitly. Now, sometimes you may be doing something where you don't want to be interrupted by notifications. The Notification Center provides a nice little switch so you can temporarily disable those banners and notifications. And if you're presenting and you connect to a projector, we'll do it for you all.
Are they clicking? Are they... Actually, you know, that's pretty useful. I have that issue right now whenever I plug in the laptop to the feed, I get all my notifications, so it would be great if you could disable it easily.
We're bringing dictation to the Mac.
We kind of had a feeling this was happening.
Everywhere on your Mac where you can type, you can now talk, and the Mac will do the typing for you. And because it's built into the system, it works everywhere. You can talk into your Facebook webpage if you want, or even in third-party applications like Microsoft Word. That's dictation. It's that simple. Next is sharing. Mac users love to share links, images, videos. Now, in Mountain Lion, we've made it easier than ever to share right from within the app where you're working. There's a share button right there on the toolbar. Click it. We present all of your sharing options. If I want to share to Twitter, for instance, just select it, get a cute little tweet sheet, type whatever it is I find necessary to share with the outside world, click it, like that.
So that's actually a big story.
Across the systems. So if you're in preview, for instance, and you want to share the PDF you're looking at over messages, you can do it. If you're in any app where you can quick look, for instance, you're quick looking at an image, you can post it up sharing over Flickr. And our support for sharing is more than skin deep in Mountain Lion. Support for sharing services like Twitter is built right into the operating system. So when you go into system preferences and enter your login information, enter it just once, and any application you've authorized can access and connect to those social services. So that's sharing. Next,
no Facebook though.
The new Safari. The new Safari in Mountain Lion has the fastest JavaScript engine of any browser on the planet.
Big claim.
But the first thing you'll notice
that's a big claim
is the new unified smart search field. You type in it whatever you're looking for, and Safari will present you.
Finally.
Oh, so you can search for anything with the search bar. Okay. I mean, that's...
Search suggestions, and even matches automatically from your bookmarks and your browsing history. Now, sometimes what you're looking for is something that you were browsing earlier, maybe on one of your other devices. Well, now, Safari has a feature called iCloud tabs.
Uh-oh, that's going to get dangerous for a lot of couples.
And you get a list of all of the pages you have open across all of your other devices, including apps.
This is important. This is something that I wish had been there when I was trying out the iPad.
Yeah, this is going to lead to their next app, the iDivorce.
Now, we have a fantastic new feature we call Tab View. It lets you use gestures to visually navigate your tabs. I'd like to show it to you now.
It's a very uncomfortable, silent walk.
Do you think his hands will be less shaky?
You can see, of course, we have a unified search field right here at the top. You can type a few characters, and Safari presents me with a top hit, as well as search suggestions and bookmark and history matches. And click, we get some Safari's lightning fast page loading. Safari also has a new scrolling architecture built on core animation, which makes scrolling just smooth and lightning fast. It's really awesome. Now, if you want to open a tab that you had open, for instance, on another computer, I can just click the iCloud Tabs button. You see all of them right there. Documents I'd open on my iPad as well as on my iPhone. I click one, I keep browsing right from where I left off. Now, Lion has a feature where, of course, you can use multi-touch gestures to zoom in on your web page. So, for instance, I can zoom in like this and zoom back out. But now, what happens when I zoom even further out? Watch. I'm pulled into the tab view, where I have a live view across all of my tabs. I can use multi-touch gestures to scroll through them, select a tab, pinch, back out. It's a fantastic way.
So very interesting. So, I mean, this is their way of implementing the tablet in your desktop OS. Very interesting how they're doing it, and very interesting how Apple's doing, how Microsoft is doing it. It's almost the opposite.
Yeah, whereas Microsoft is saying, we're going to give you a tablet operating system and a PC operating system and a tablet, and then you can just decide which one you want to use at any given time. Apple is really trying to merge the two and bring features from the one to the other and vice versa.
It's very interesting, the difference.
But sharing works really well also in full screen apps. For instance, I'll just pan over here to full screen iPhoto. Let's open up a photo that I want to share. I'm going to share this to iMessage, but I don't have to leave this full screen experience to do that. I click on the system-wide share button, select messages, and I get a little messaging sheet right here. I select the person I want to send to, and just like that, I've sent a message. Now, this is where Notification Center comes in, because if I'm working in a full screen app and maybe someone responds back to that message I sent back out, it'll actually appear as a notification right there on my screen. There it is. And if I ignore it, of course, it'll just slide away. But if I want to get back to it, that's easy too. I take 2 fingers from the right-hand side of my trackpad, and I can just sweep out Notification Center. It's a completely fluid gesture. And if I want to get at any of these things, I can click, for instance, on this message. It takes me right to the conversation, back in Messages. Now, notifications also support notifications from internet services like Twitter. So if I get a Twitter direct mention, or a direct message, or a mention, it'll come in as a notification for me.
Very interesting.
And
Okay.
if I ever want to tweet at any time, some bright idea occurs to me, I can just go right into Notification Center, and I can summon a tweet sheet right here. And
No Facebook.
I can use dictation.
I find that very interesting
my
and
tweet.
unfortunate for Apple.
Considering weren't in
Having
iOS
great
6,
times.
Facebook was going to get integrated. I mean, that was a major part of it.
And I mean, it's still possible they'd have an announcement,
is.
but it seems to me they would have been showing it off right at this time if they did. I like the dictation, though. That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Next, I want to introduce you to a new technology in OS 10 that we call PowerNap. So, we all love
PowerNap.
using our Macs. But wouldn't it be great if when we weren't using them, they were still working for us? Well, now with PowerNap, it will, because PowerNap keeps your Mac up to date while it sleeps. It fetches email, keeps track of calendar and reminder updates.
How does it do
Even
that?
fetches your photo stream.
So I guess it's like push notification for the Mac
And it gets better.
automatically.
I'm guessing this is going to have to be on only on devices that have SSDs.
It'll also back itself up to your time capsule and even download App Store and system software updates automatically.
And I'm curious how it does that.
How is this sleeping? It's working quite hard. How is that asleep?
Yeah.
Automatically refreshes data. Its operation is entirely silent. It doesn't even spin up your fans. It goes easy on your battery, and it's compatible with recent MacBook Airs, as well as that gorgeous new MacBook
told
Pro
you.
Yeah.
Retina display.
Flash drives.
That's PowerNap. Next is AirPlay mirroring. AirPlay mirroring, yes. AirPlay mirroring is absolutely the easiest way to get whatever's on your Mac up on a projector or television. You just go up to your Mac, to the AirPlay menu in your Mac menu bar. It shows you any Apple TVs that are nearby. You select one, and instantly you're mirroring that content in up to pixel for pixel 1080p resolution. This is fantastic for the classroom, meeting room, of course, for your family room.
It really is. I wish I would have had
Yeah.
this years ago.
You know, AirPlay enables stereo receivers.
I mean, now it's gonna kind of make everybody go and buy a Mac Apple TV.
Yeah, it gives a whole new usage for the Apple TV. Turns it into the ultimate video and audio receiver.
Finally, Game Center. You know, production.
Wow, Game Center on that.
We've experienced a renaissance of gaming on the Mac. And we're making it even better by bringing Game Center from iOS to the Mac. And with Game Center on the Mac, you have your same Game Center account with all of your Game Center friends, where you can track all of your achievements, also track all your games, both iOS 10 and iOS games.
You know, Game Center has not been a success in my opinion.
Really? Yeah, I don't play a whole lot of multiplayer iOS games, so I guess not.
I mean, I play a bunch, and then Game Center gives you the achievements, but I don't feel that it's been a huge milestone for them as far as achievements go. I think it's an extra plus, but I don't think it's really caught on. I want to take this time and remind everybody, you can go to our website, gfqlive.tv. We have our main chat room at gfqlive.tv. Great group of people there. Also, we have a number of feeds. We're on Stickam, Justin TV, Ustream, pretty much everywhere you can imagine. I'm joined by the great Eric Lanigan, tech commentator, tech blogger, podcaster. You can follow him on Twitter at Eric Lanigan. Also, I'm on Twitter at Andrew Zarian. This is the WWDC coverage by the GFQ network. So I don't know how they're going to do this. Oh, this is why.
Now,
here we go.
The rest of this demo is going to be viewing this content entirely over AirPlay. Of course, I can do anything I would normally do on my Mac when I'm on AirPlay. For instance, launch Game Center. And here I see my Game Center account.
They must be pretty confident about their Wi-Fi integrity.
Yeah.
As well as all my... like I chose that, right? And I can also see all...
His username is Hair Force One. That's why everybody's laughing.
Mr. X, who's been meaning to play me...
He does it like the Hair Club for Men guy.
He does. He has a great head of hair. He is not even on the Norwood scale of hair loss. Is that the Stig? It is a Stig.
What's happening?
It's a Stig.
What is it? I don't know what that is.
From Top Gear. He's the famous driver for them.
On an iPad, and on his iPad, he can invite me to play this game, CSR Racing, which is an upcoming title from Natural Motion. And when he does, you notice I get, of course, a notification in Notification Center. I click on it, and I'm instantly launched into the game. Now, Natural Motion was originally developing this just as an iOS title, but they found it so easy to bring it to Mac and integrate the center, they'll be simultaneously releasing it for iOS and Mac this summer.
You know what I'm curious? How's the latency on this?
Race, I'm in the red.
Oh, for gaming over
yeah,
Apple,
for gaming, yeah.
AirPlay, you mean? That's
I'm
a good
curious
question.
about this because it depends on your network connection. If your connection is not good, then you're going to have latency.
Yeah, and yeah, you'd be saturating your entire Wi-Fi for the whole house potentially.
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty good. Yeah, somebody said at least 100 milliseconds.
So I guess you'd still have to be watching your own laptop screen.
Quick overview of Mountain Lion. And in addition to these major features, there's so much more there. Things like VIPs in Mail, where you can mark any people that are important to you, and new incoming messages will show up as notifications for you.
But what else I'm also curious about is, what about AirPlay what about MacBook Pro to MacBook Pro? Is AirPlay going to work in that sense?
I'm guessing no. What are you picturing? What's your scenario for that?
I'm imagining, let's say if I want to share a video, like I want to play a video, and you're next to me, I could pull that video up and pull it up on your laptop. I mean, I could almost like we could share the display, maybe for presentations. That's the situation I'm thinking about. Let's say I have a conference and
I never thought of that.
Let's say I have a bunch of people in my office that have the same MacBooks, and everybody has, the AirPlay. I could potentially play a video on my computer, and everybody could see it on theirs.
Like okay, like everyone has their own individual projector.
Yeah, like screen sharing. I guess it's in Finder. Someone said it's in Finder, so maybe that one.
Yoku and Tudo. And finally, we're making it really easy to set up your Mac with China's top emails. So those are a few features.
The audio's pretty bad here. So he displayed, he's had over 200 things. He's showing all the different languages that it supports for dictionary, for dictation.
For developers with over 1,700 new APIs. So you can add sharing, game center support, notification support, new high DPI APIs, and gesture APIs. It's great swipes to your.
So they're saying tons of APIs along with gesture APIs.
Yep. Also looks like lots of integration with the most popular Chinese social networks and email. So they're really trying to ramp up their Mac presence in China.
Get their hands on Mountain Lion. It's going to be just
$19.99 for Mountain Lion.
Wow. Even cheaper than
cheaper.
Lion.
That's ships in July.
Both from Lion and all the way from Snow Leopard. And your single purchase will upgrade all of your personal Macs.
And single purchase does every Mac that you have. So it's not one per computer. It's one per everything you own.
Nice. Is that how Lion was?
No, I think you got a family pack.
Your upgrade to Mountain Lion will be free. And all of you WWDC developers, today you get access to a near final developer preview. So you can get all your apps ready for Mountain Lion when it ships next month. That's...
So if you so the final build, nearly developer preview, as they're calling it, interesting, is out today. And they're saying if this upgrade from Lion all the way to Snow Leopard, it will be on your personal Mac. I'm trying to find where he said what was free. I think if you buy a computer now, it's free.
All right, let's talk about iOS. I find it incredible that through the end of March, we have already sold more than 365 million
Who's that? Is that Scott Forstall?
iOS devices.
I didn't get who he said it was.
Is that more than 80%
Yeah,
of our customers are running the very latest version of iOS 5. Now, compare that.
So the stat is that they've sold through March 30th, they've sold 365 million iOS devices.
Wow. And it looks like they're gloating over the fact, as they should, that they have a much bigger installation base of, look at that, iOS 5, the vast majority of their customers, like 75% or more, are on the latest version compared to Android. Almost the same amount, like 3/4 are running 2.3.
Which is 2 years old at this point.
Yeah, we've seen so many Android handsets come out and not even be upgradable past their initial Android release, which is not good for customers.
No, and that's been the biggest problem with Android. It's an uphill battle that a consumer faces with Android, is because you have no idea what is going to get updated and what is not going to get updated. It's unstable to the point that you don't know if your phone is going to be supported for the next 6 months.
That's right. And I say good for Apple for making product releases that make the product you already own, your iPhone, better as time goes on. That's rare in tech, and it's good that they do that.
Just amazing. Notification center. Next is iMessage. We have more than 140 million iMessage users. They've sent more than 150 billion messages and are currently sending more than 1 billion messages every single day. Next is Twitter. We integrated Twitter directly into iOS 5. Integrated Twitter has already seen a 3 times growth increase from the number of people on iOS using Twitter. Those customers have sent 10 billion tweets from iOS 5, and nearly half of all the photos being shared with Twitter's photo sharing service come from iOS 5. It's a great integration. Next is Game Center. Game Center is a great gaming network. We have more than 130 million people using it. They submit 5 billion scores every single week. 2/3 of the top 100 games integrate Game Center. And all of this results in some very, very satisfied customers. More than
So they're pushing Game Center, 130 million accounts, 5 billion scores per week, 67 out of the top 100 games on Game Center.
Now, one of the reasons that our customers so satisfied is that every single year since the original iPhone, we come out with a new OS full of great quality, amazing features. And this year is no exception, so I'm very happy to announce iOS 6. iOS 6 is a fantastic release. It has more than 200 new features, starting with some significant enhancements to Siri. I'll walk you through a few. Let's start with Siri. As you all know, Siri's only been out for 8 months and already does so much for you. You can send text messages, all sorts of answers, set alarms, find out about the weather, make phone calls, create a reminder. Kids, or my kids, you can just chat with it for a while. Siri is fantastic. But in these 8 months, Siri has been studying up and learning a lot more. So let me just go ahead and show you what Siri can do now in iOS. Here I have a phone running iOS 6.
No Siri on the Mac, by the way.
No, I'm actually surprised about that. They have dictation, but not Siri.
About sports. So you can ask questions like, what was the score of the last Giants game?
The Giants were downed by the Rangers yesterday. The final score was 5-0.
So this looks great. You got this great score. I have to say, I like scores against Texas a little better during the series. But great sports scores, ask of Siri. You can also ask about individual players like this. What is Buster Posey's batting average?
That's actually very interesting that it's able to source it so fast. And I would like
What do you mean?
I wonder where it's sourcing the information from.
Yeah, they may have added some new database sources.
I mean, that's all they have to do with Siri. The whole thing about Siri is that it almost data mines certain sources. Like I believe it was using what was it using for information?
Wolfram Alpha primarily.
Yeah, it's primarily that. But the more they're able to develop, sources for this application, the more intelligent it's going to get. What's fascinating is that they're adding these minor little things. I mean, if they integrate Wikipedia, for example, and you say, when was Albert Einstein born? That's going to really change the way that we gather information and the way we search.
Absolutely. It's also interesting how voice recognition and contextual services like that, where you ask a question that gives you a plain language response and interprets your meaning of your language, has really taken off now that first Google and now Apple are putting all of the recordings and audio that they get into the cloud, where they can be permanently stored and averaged to come up with the most likely scenario. So the more people use it, the more accurate it becomes.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Right there. It's just awesome. So Siri knows about
so
sports.
I think clearly they partnered with some provider of
Next up,
sports scores.
Siri's learned a lot more about restaurants. So I can ask, find a great place for dinner.
I found 50 restaurants. 14 of them are fairly close to you. I've sorted them by rating.
So you can see we have a lot more information about restaurants now, the average price of a menu item, the type of restaurant. If I go ahead and choose one of these, I'll choose Millennium. You can see all sorts of information about the restaurant. We have maps here. We've partnered with Yelp. So you can see reviews right in here. Tap on that. And here's the reviews. And if you want even more information, just tap on any of these reviews and it'll take you right to the Yelp app from the app. I'll go back. We've also partnered with OpenTable. So I can tap here to make reservations. Takes me again to the OpenTable app right from the App Store. You can choose a date, number of people, and make a reservation. It's that easy. So Siri knows a lot about restaurants now. Next up, Siri's become something of a movie. So you can ask all sorts of questions like, what movies are playing at the Metreon?
Okay, I found 8 movies at the Metreon.
So I can tell you what movies are playing. I'll go ahead and choose one, Marvel's The Avengers. You see, we've integrated with Rotten Tomatoes, so you can see ratings and reviews. You can even tap to watch the trailer right here in Siri.
Someone's having cell phone issues. So it'll find a movie, and then you could watch pretty much the trailer for the movie. I guess it's far more intelligent than it was, and this is what they had said when Siri was released last year, that it was still a beta, and they were going to add features as it went along. And I think every year they're just going to add more and more of these sources for Siri to grab information from.
Yeah, and this has got to be a threat to Google, because as long as it's keeping people away from a search engine and sort of doing the opposite of training them how to find their own information as via a search engine, yeah, that's got to be a threat to Google.
What is Google's answer for this? I mean, I know that they are attempting to kind of do the same thing and counteract the influx of people that are using Siri, but how would they able to retaliate this? I guess incorporate their own version of Siri that uses Google search?
You know, it's tough, because Google started out as a company that said that we're just going to provide the tools to give you the best stuff that's already on the web. So when you have a company like Apple now, it looks like they're partnering with some key, big company partners, some big brand names. I'm sure they're getting this information from Fandango or some big source, as opposed to just whatever web pages are out there. Google is probably either going to have to partner with equally big sources and thus restrict where their information comes from when you search, or they're going to just be their results will become less accurate and less helpful.
Here we go, back to the coverage.
You can ask about movies. You can launch apps, make dinner reservations. You can now tweet just by talking to your phone. And there's this thing we're calling eyes free. Now, you've heard of hands-free before. Hands-free allows you to keep your hands on the steering wheel while you use your phone. We want to integrate Siri even better with the car. And so we're working with a number of car manufacturers to enable you to use a button right at the steering wheel to bring up Siri. Now, since Siri can talk back to you, you don't need, and we don't light up the screen of the iPhone, so you keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road and use Siri.
Nice.
Now, a number of auto
BMW, GM, Mercedes, Land Rover, Ford. No, not Ford, sorry. Jaguar, Audi, Honda, I believe. I couldn't see the other ones. Toyota and Chrysler.
Audi, Toyota.
We are also taking Siri much more international. When we launched Siri, we launched it in English in the United States, Britain, Australia, and we had French and German. Recently, we added Japanese. And now, in iOS 6, we're adding English and French tuned for Canada.
So more language support. I mean, that's standard.
Tuned for Spain, Mexico, and the United States. We're adding Italian.
Siri had not been in Spanish before? I'm surprised.
We're adding Italian, French, and German. We're adding Korean. 60 countries represented. We're adding Mandarin tuned for Taiwan. Cantonese tuned for Hong Kong.
They're really trying to saturate the Chinese market.
Cantonese tuned for mainland China.
They are. They're going full force into China.
Full force in China, yeah. I mean, it's obviously one of the smartest tactics that they could have to fully, develop their product line.
Definitely. Their brand is strong in China. They get more and more people in China who can afford their products. They're really building they're trying to grow a cult following into a major saturation like they have here in America.
In China, and for the first time, we're taking Siri beyond the iPhone 4S. We're bringing it to the new iPad.
There we go. Okay.
I was wondering about that.
But not which version? Only the latest.
Just a few enhancements for Siri in iOS 6. Next.
I don't see what that is.
Facebook integration.
Oh,
We've been
Facebook.
working with Facebook to create the best Facebook experience ever on a mobile device. we're integrating Facebook right into iOS 6. You can now go to the Settings app and enter your username and password. Now you're ready to go. You don't need to re-log in when you go to an app from the App Store, including Facebook's app. We're also making it really easy to post to Facebook for many of our apps. So you can post photos from the Photos app, post about websites, post locations from Maps. You can talk about your favorite app, Phone app in this case, from the App Store. You can talk about movies, TV shows, and movies from the iTunes Store. You can talk some smack from the Game Center. We've also integrated it right in with Notification Center. So anywhere you are, just drag your finger down from the top of the screen to reveal Notification Center. You can tap, post to Facebook.
I mean, this was a given. They had to integrate Facebook in their system. I mean, what's fascinating now is that that Google does not have Facebook integration or Twitter integration anymore.
Sorry, you said Android doesn't?
Android does not anymore. They removed both.
I didn't know that they removed Twitter. I'm really surprised that they would do this only for iOS and not for the Mac sharing integration.
I am too.
But we didn't stop there. We've also integrated it with the App Store. So now you can like apps and see which apps your friends like. And you can also do that
Oh, that's
with the
huge.
iTunes Store with music, TV shows,
Yeah.
and movies. And if your friends are sharing, say, a phone number or an email address from Facebook, those will appear in your contact list now, right on your iPhone.
Yeah, that's my obsessive compulsive behaviors fantasy to integrate everything.
Also, your Facebook events will now appear in calendars along with birthdays. So we've taken a deep integration of Facebook right into iOS 6, and we've taken that same integration and brought it to the... And that is Facebook integration.
That's strange. It's strange how limited it is, or why
Yeah.
they buried it at the end of the announcement.
Really nice enhancements.
I mean, I would imagine this would be a big thing for them.
You've probably been in a meeting before where you receive a phone call, you can't answer it right then. And you wish it was easy to quickly text a message back to the person or be reminded to call them back later. With iOS 6, new control on the right-hand side of the incoming call. And if you slide that up, you get two new options. You can reply with a message or be reminded to call the person back later. If you choose reply with a message, just tapping on any of these buttons will send a text message or an iMessage right to the caller. And if you choose remind me later, you can be reminded in an hour.
I actually like that a lot. I find that to be an extremely useful feature.
That'll set up
A reminder to call someone back.
your current location.
Oh, look at this. Perfect. This is what I was going to say. Because look, now they've also got stock ones. Oh, look at that. Reply with, I'll call you later, on my way, what's up, custom, 1 hour, when I leave, when I get home, when I get to work. That's awesome.
Android has this, by the way. Android has that feature when
Maybe that's why it
calls
seems so familiar.
you. Yeah.
Next up is something we're calling Do Not Disturb. Now,
That's good. That's better than airplane mode.
so many of you are like me, and you've been awakened in the middle of the night by text
Yep.
message or a push notification or an unwanted phone call. And Do Not Disturb allows you to tell your phone not to bother you with such interruptions. Now, those push notifications and text messages, they'll still come to your phone. It just won't light up the screen or make a sound to wake you up. It'll be there for you in the morning. Now, you also, with Do Not Disturb, get fine-grained control over which phone calls you'll receive. You can choose to
Oh,
receive
that's
no phone
awesome.
calls at all, or just phone calls from your favorites, or from a group that you create in your contact list. And if you choose this last setting here, repeated calls, if someone really wants to get a hold of you and they're persistent, they call you back within 3 minutes because it's an emergency, that second call will come through.
Wow. Very thoughtful.
Yeah.
So some great enhancements to the phone app. Next, FaceTime is the best way to have a video conference with someone. But there's one catch. It only works over Wi-Fi. So what happens if you're somewhere where there isn't Wi-Fi? Well, in iOS 6, we're enabling FaceTime over.
I did not hear that. What did he say?
FaceTime over cellular. Interestingly, they
Really?
didn't call it 3G or 4G.
Yeah, because that was part of that whole lawsuit that they had, because sometimes 4G isn't 4G.
Also, we're unifying your phone number and your Apple ID. So if someone, so if someone calls you on your phone number with a FaceTime call, you can answer that call iPad or even your Mac.
I'm confused. Is that different than how it was?
I'm not too sure. I'm a little confused with that too.
And we're doing the exact same thing with iMessage. So if someone sends an iMessage to your phone number, you can receive that and reply on your iPad or your Mac.
Oh, so
I
somebody
thought we already had that.
Yeah. I thought that's how it worked.
There's some subtle distinction that they're not being clear about.
The most popular mobile web browser on the planet. About 2/3 of all mobile web traffic comes from Safari on iOS. We are making it even better. You heard earlier, we're adding iPad tabs. So from your iPad, you can see all of the Safari windows and tabs that are open on any of your other iOS devices or your Macs. We're also adding offline reading list. So in iOS 5, we added reading list, which is for you to save a story, a web story away to read it later. And now, as soon as you add it to the reading list, we'll download and cache the story. So you can go and read that even if you later don't have internet connectivity. We're also adding the ability to upload photos right from Safari to your favorite websites. Adding something called smart app banners. Now, a lot of people build great apps that are in the App Store. You also have websites. With smart app banners, if someone goes to your website, Safari can optionally put up a banner letting them know about your native app in the App Store.
Oh, that's very cool.
I didn't follow that one.
So if, let's say, I go to ericlanigan.com, it'll pull, and you have an app in the App Store, it knows that you have an app, and it'll pull up a little thing that says, hey, why don't you go check out his app in the App Store rather than going to the website?
Oh, I see. From mobile Safari.
From mobile,
okay.
yeah.
And the website can tell the app what the person was doing on the website, so they can pick up in the app where they left off on the website.
I didn't hear that one either. He's just talking about the tab syncing.
Yeah. You could follow, like, let's say you take off, like you were at a certain section of a website, you could take off, go to your, let's say, laptop, and then follow exactly where you were.
I like that.
PhotoStream. PhotoStream is one of the really nice free features in iCloud. It is the best way to get all of your photos to all of your devices, iOS devices and your Macs. And now in iOS 6, we're adding shared photo streams. Now, shared photo streams is a really easy way for you to share photos with your friends. It's really simple. Just choose the photos you'd like to share, choose the friends with whom you'd like to share them, and that's it, you're done. Your friends will receive a push notification with those photos. The photos will appear in an album right in the Photos app, and you and your friends can all even comment on the photos. In addition to iOS, shared photo streams go to your Mac with iPhoto and Aperture. You can view them in a web browser on Windows. And you can even view them on your television using Apple TV. And that is shared photo streams.
Not as useful, I would say, as really deep integration with the Facebook photo album.
Next are some great enhancements to Mail, starting with VIPs. VIP allows you to mark someone whose messages you really want to be notified about. So once you mark someone as a VIP and they send you an email, you'll get a notification right in the lock screen of that email the same way you would for a text message. It's also really easy to find messages from your VIPs when you're looking at the message list. They have a star next to them. And we've added a VIP mailbox which gathers together all of those messages from your VIPs. And for those of you who like to flag messages, we've also added a flagged mailbox as well.
So you're able to...
We've also made it really easy for you to insert photos and video right in the compose window. And you can now open password-protected Office docs right on iOS device.
Password protected what?
Password-
Office docs?
Yeah, I guess they're talking about security. I mean,
And refresh your messages.
Uh-oh, I didn't hear that.
I didn't... Something about SMS.
So some great features for
Yeah, so you can password protect your documents on...
a brand new app we're calling.
Or unlock them at least.
Now, Passbook
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so
hold
they're
down
talking
to
about-
refresh messages. That was the applause.
in one place. There are a
I'm not
lot
crazy
of
about that feature, by the way.
really great apps in the App Store. They're starting to put passes, boarding passes, and tickets into the apps. There are some airline apps, like this one from United, where you get your boarding pass right in the app. There's some store card apps, like this one from Starbucks, where you get the store card right in the app, and you can use it to scan and pay for your coffee. And there are some movie ticket apps, like this one, where your movie ticket goes right into the app. Now, this is great. The problem is, when you get to the movie theater or the airport, you have to fumble around to find the app and then find the ticket or the pass within the app. So Passbook takes all of these passes and combines them together in one place and integrates it right into the OS. And they are beautiful. There's a movie ticket, and creating templates to make it really easy for all developers to build these great passes and tickets. And it integrates right into the lock screen. So when you get to the movie theater, the ticket automatically pops up on the lock screen. Slide across here.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
No more dicking around. More like you have an actual ticket right there.
I guess, I mean, this has been a problem that they've been facing. You know, the operating system is pretty mature, so how do you improve it?
Yeah, I like little clever solutions like this.
So here's Passbook. I've got some tickets. So there's a Fandango ticket for a movie. Beautiful. I have a nice ticket for a Giants game here. We have store cards. Here's a card for Starbucks. The agency has the balance there. When you use this to scan and pay for your coffee, the balance automatically gets updated. Here's a store card for the Apple Store. We have boarding passes. Here's Amtrak. And here are a couple for United Airlines. And again, when we have two, we group them together. Here's a coupon for Target. Here's an express check-in card for a hotel. Now, when you're done with a card, just flip it over. There's a trash can at the top left. We had a little bit of fun with this deleting your cards.
Oh, we can't see it. We can't see it, but I'm sure it's whimsical.
Yeah, it's...
Now,
Little
as I
puff of
said,
smoke or
this is all
something.
integrated in with the phone and with the lock screen. So if I have my phone locked,
It
I
it
go to my-
shreds the card, actually. It goes through like a
Oh,
shredder.
that's cool.
card. Slide across it, bring it, and I'm out. That easy. And all these cards are actually live. So if my gate changed, I've got an update for my United Airlines gate change. It comes
That's
up,
very, very cool.
there's my boarding pass updated. Right in the app.
I missed that. What were they?
So
applying for?
let's say you have a United Airlines card, like your information. If your gate changes, it's real time. It changes the gate for you in the image.
Nice.
To get all of your passes, tickets together in one place. Next is guided access. We set out to make the most accessible devices of anyone for all of our customers.
So it stores your tickets,
We're really proud about accessibility
passes to any event. It all stores it there.
I really like that. I think that's a great innovation. It interestingly, it might eliminate the need for many apps that really were just like pass readers by the companies, like by the airlines or by the movie ticket. But I think the solution is better in the end. Just having it right there on the front solves a huge convenience issue of having to dig through the phone directories to try to find your pass.
So now they're talking about guided access, which is their.
Guided access allows you to just circle those controls with your finger. We'll figure out which ones you need, and we'll disable those controls for you. The child now can use the app without accidentally hitting those. And we lock the device to a single app mode. So the home button doesn't leave the app.
Oh, very interesting. So, like, let's say you give your kid the device to play a game, they can't touch it and exit the application.
That's great.
On their iPad. Now, this is great beyond children with autism. It's really single app mode. And single app mode has a lot of applications. There are a lot of schools when adopting iPads.
So they're discussing while this fixes out, they're discussing how they've been using the iPad in many schools that work with disabled children, autistic kids, and they're saying that it's been a vital part in teaching them. And they're talking about single app mode for education purposes. So let's say you are taking a quiz on the iPad. They're talking about distributing these iPads to all your students. Everybody pulls up their quiz, and they cannot exit that quiz to go into another application on the iPad. They literally are stuck to that one application.
That's great. I think that's really important. That opens up a whole set of new uses for the iPads. Where previously the issue was that kids or people in a demonstration area, like if you have it as a kiosk somewhere, people would just like, oh, hit the home button, exit, and go do their own thing.
Yeah. I'm looking here. Let's see.
Oh, new map features, it looks like. This is a replacement to Google Maps.
Bring the world. Here's Italy, New Zealand.
So rumor is that they're completely ditching Google.
It looks different.
Norway, Paris. I'm going to go through every city. Full maps. Now, part of maps is local search. You have to be able to find businesses and points of interest. And so we've already ingested more than 100
this is goodbye to Google Maps.
Around the world so we can create local search. When you find a business, bring up the info, and it's beautiful.
So they're using 100 million business listings, but where are they fetching this information from?
And lots of photos.
What database are they using?
We're also
I
building
think they either bought one or partnered with one, I heard.
we have this great traffic view,
So they're
it's
talking about
easy to see
info
where
cards
the
also.
incidents
So
are.
let's say you find a location, you could easily give all the information to your contacts list from that map, including images, information, all that stuff.
To speed up and get
And he just said we're also building a traffic service. So I think they're really trying to actually bring a lot of this in-house and make an Apple proprietary map and traffic feature and database.
They're going to have incident reports, anonymous real-time crowdsourcing. So this is going to be very interesting. So people are going to be able to report accidents and any kind of delays.
But I wonder if this will, I mean, they'd have to integrate it with like turn-by-turn navigation, right? Or how would you ever know, how would the relevant traffic report ever know to reach you?
Yes,
there it
they
is.
are built-in turn-by-turn navigation. There you go.
Popped up right when I said it.
quick route button, and you're on your way. As you're going, we'll be monitoring the traffic, we'll give you your ETA. If the traffic slows down in front of you, we'll update your ETA, and then we'll start looking to reroute you around it to find faster routes. And again, on your way from the traffic. All of this works. And the lock screen as well, if it's plugged into your car.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
You know,
They're
the
gonna make
next step for this is like AirPlay for navigation.
Ooh.
And you're on your way. You can ask questions along your route, like where can I get gas? And it'll look for convenient gas stations along your route. And of course, kids can ask the age-old question.
I'm so glad they're doing this. still, you know, Garmin and TomTom, they've got to be furious about this, but those apps were still very expensive. This looks gorgeous. It looks super easy. I love the integration with the home screen and the traffic and the offering to reroute due to traffic like that. I'm really excited about this.
Around the world in helicopters and in planes. We've been building up a 3D photographic model of these places, and it is gorgeous. This is what it looks like on the iPad.
Wow, look at that.
Great on the iPad. Let me just go ahead and give you a demo.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I mean, this is going to really compete with them.
So the 3D models, is this just for novelty, or can you actually do something with this for navigation?
All right, so here's our maps. They're all vector-based, so everything is really fast. Zoom in and out. We rotate. When you zoom in far enough, you'll see buildings start to appear. Tap on a. Here's MoMA. Beautiful.
Yeah, this looks really good.
Reviews and ratings from Yelp. Lots of photos. We also do 3D. So I can zoom in and see just what MoMA looks like. Zoom out a little bit here. Move around the city.
Very much like Google's 3D mode in Android.
Zoom back in.
They're saying that the performance is extremely fast on the
Beautiful.
iPad.
I'll go back to 2D. You have satellite view, of course. Here's our satellite view. What I really want to show you is flyover. Let's go ahead and choose the Trans-American Pyramid.
What's that, like a helicopter flyover?
Yeah. Novelty, but pretty cool. It looks really nice, the 3D mapping. It looks really nice.
I wonder who's doing it. I hope they say what company they're working with.
Now, this is not a movie. This is being rendered in real time, so I can go ahead and rotate this myself. I can change the camera angle, fly through it myself. Just beautiful. Let me choose another place. How about Sydney Opera House? And again, I can rotate this. Let's turn it so I can look back at the city. Behind the Opera House, I'll zoom out a little bit, change the camera angle. And that is flyover.
Very cool. I mean, the graphics look unbelievable, the 3D mapping.
And on a retina display,
Yeah.
probably.
What I'd like to show you is turn-by-turn directions. So switch to the other device. We can't all go and get in a car and drive around, so we have a simulator of our turn-by-turn directions here. I'll go ahead and choose Coit Tower. I'll tap on the Quick Route button. Gives me 3 different options. I'll choose Route 2. Let's go ahead and start.
Starting route to Coit Tower. In 750 feet, turn right onto Greenwich Street. Turn right onto Greenwich Street, then turn left onto Grant Avenue.
Now I can watch this adaptive cinematic camera angle as we go through corners.
In 400 feet, turn left onto Grant Avenue.
When 2 turns are close together, we put both signs up for you.
In 300 feet, turn right onto Lombard Street.
See where the footprint of all these buildings.
I mean, it's very
In a
pretty,
quarter
their
mile,
navigation.
Arrive at your destination.
Now,
Yeah, very well designed. Probably
Yeah.
the best looking I've ever seen.
Let's see. There were rumors that there was some collaboration with TomTom, but there's no evidence of that yet.
On Overview, which allows me to zoom out. You can see any part of the route at any time.
I mean, unless they licensed it from TomTom, that would be the only advantage for TomTom, but I can't see them benefiting
Yeah, that
from
would have been
this.
such a huge price for TomTom. Be like giving up their entire future market.
Arrived at Coit Tower.
And that is turn-by-turn directions.
I mean, very simple, very clean. It's easy to use. I'll give you one example. My Infinity, the navigation on that is one of the most confusing things I've ever had. It's very, very confusing.
This is definitely the Apple approach to
Yeah.
turn by turn. Well done.
And these are more than 200 new user features in iOS 6. There's so much more in here. There are Game Center challenges. So now if you hit an achievement or a high score, it's easy to challenge your friends to try to beat you. We've improved the privacy controls, so you can manage whether an app has access to your contacts, calendar, photos. We've completely redesigned the stores to make them just gorgeous and fluid and better promote your apps. We're working on made for iPhone hearing aids. We want the experience of people with hearing aids to be the best it's ever been on an iPhone. We have added per account signatures in mail. So if you have a personal mail account and a work mail account, you can have different signatures for each.
I thought that was already
We've added
integrated.
lost mode to find my iPhone. So if you've misplaced your iPhone,
So they're pretty much going down the list of features. I mean, they've really matured the operating system with this release. I think iOS 6 is really a matured operating system with all these features that are integrated. Some of the things that it was missing was turn-by-turn navigation, like Android has, and mapping, and now they have it. This is them really going after Google.
Yeah, and it shows that they've also reached that point in the evolution of iOS where it's like they've built in all the basic features. Now they're going to start going after successful apps, which is unfortunate for those developers. I guess you could say good for the customers because they get something for free. But, some of these announcements definitely drive a lot of popular apps out of existence.
developers. APIs, Passkit, so all passes you saw for Passbook are really simple to build with that API. There's a reminders API. You have in-app content purchases. So if your app links out, say to iTunes, to buy music that someone heard in your app, you can now sell that music right in your app with an in-app content purchase sheet. Transit apps. When building maps, we looked around and realized the best transit apps for metros, for hiking, for biking, are coming from our developers. And so instead of trying to build those ourselves, we're going to integrate and feature and promote your apps for transit right within the Maps app and iOS 6.
So interesting. They're not going to do the transit themselves. They're going to rely on different app developers.
And we're giving out a beta of iOS 6 to our developers today.
Very cool.
iOS 6 will ship this fall. It'll support the iPhone 3GS and later, the second and third generation iPad, and the fourth generation iPod Touch. And that is iOS 6.
So 3GS and later. Interesting.
Wow,
3GS
that really goes back.
Yeah, they're still supporting 3GS. Emerging markets, that's why.
Thank you.
So is
What
this
was
the
that
one
about
more?
emerging markets?
I think this is for emerging markets. They're going to still support 3GS in emerging markets.
Incredible products this morning. Let's review.
One more thing.
The new MacBook Pro delivers extreme performance in a radically thin and light with a stunning Retina display, the world's highest resolution display. It's the most advanced Mac we have ever built. OS X Mountain Lion, the 9th major release of the world's best desktop operating system, with iCloud and the new notification center, messages, dictation, Facebook integration. It's the best OS X yet. iOS 6 with 200 new features. So the world's most advanced mobile operating system with an entirely new Maps app that's incredible, Facebook integration, shared photo streams, Passbook, and much, much more. Only Apple could make such amazing hardware, software service. We are so proud of these products. And they are perfect examples of what Apple does best. And ultimately, it's why people choose to come to work at Apple and with Apple to do the very best work of their lives, to create products that empower people to do great things in the lives of so many people around the world.
Here's a little Steve Jobs moment.
Yeah.
Combined with the apps that you create can change.
Come on.
Really, I can't think of a better reason of getting up in the morning.
The audio's really breaking up.
I hope you have a fantastic week.
So there was no one more thing.
I want to wish you the best week ever, the best conference ever. Thank you very much for coming and joining us.
Actually, that kind of failed at the end.
That was a downer. They should have at least had a musical act. Although I think they went long, didn't they? I'm showing it's almost about 2 hours long, and they usually max out at 90 minutes. Yeah,
they went pretty long. They went pretty long. Very interesting. And that's it for the conference. Eric, what do you think of it so far? Or what do you think of what was announced? I mean, it's a lot of minor tweaks.
Yeah, a lot of minor stuff. I have to say I'm disappointed about the lack of Retina displays on, most. I guess we can just say the vast majority of their laptops. It's on one token laptop, although I'm just thinking I don't really know who I would recommend to get that, considering it doesn't have an optical drive. I mean, people that I personally know. Yeah, a lot of the feature. I think the do not disturb in the iPhone is really interesting. I mean, that's really clever. Not the techiest or the most hardware advanced feature, but one that I'm going to definitely use, and I think it has a lot of well implemented thought put into it. Same with the traffic. I'm going to scroll back and see the earlier announcements. What do you think, Andrew?
As far as the operating system, I'm not surprised. I think they've kind of reached the end of these huge announcements for iOS. I think we're going to start seeing more and more of these little add-ons that they're doing to the operating system. We're not going to see a huge facelift. It doesn't necessarily need one because it's gained dominance in the market. Eric, so what we do at the end of the coverage that we do, we take some Skype calls. I don't know if you're up for taking some calls.
Sure.
I'm going to release the number now. It's GFQ Hotline on Skype. So Skype, I'm going to put it up on the screen. GFQ Hotline. That's our Skype, and the font is a little too big, so let me lower it. There we go.
Let's see. The passes feature is really cool. I think that's very helpful. What else? Boy, you get to the end and you forget all the stuff you saw.
There we go. So we're going to be taking your Skype calls. If you want to call in, tell us what you think of the announcement. What do you think of the iPhone? What do you think of what happened? Because a lot of stuff was announced. A lot of stuff was announced. And, some people are not happy with it. I think a lot of people were under the idea that we were going to get a iOS device, a new device, which we didn't.
Did he even say when iOS 6 is coming out?
This fall.
Oh, he did say fall. Okay.
Yeah, this fall. So I'm trying to exit this program before I could take calls, but I can't.
I think that, I can blab about Facebook for a little bit while you do that. I think the Facebook integration was something I was expecting, but it was actually less than I was expecting. Apple needs to be with Facebook, considering the popularity of Facebook. With all the rumors about Facebook doing their own smartphone, and then with Tim Cook's announcements about stay tuned for integration with Facebook, I was really hoping that they were going to try to convince Facebook to be the flagship Facebook phone and to work with them to be the best. But of course, Microsoft has a huge investment in Facebook, so that they may not want to upset the relationship with Microsoft and have a better experience with Windows Phone, which is already exclusively tied into Facebook.
I mean, you're absolutely right. That was very lackluster.
Yeah, and why just on a couple of key features? For an announcement like that, here's what was weird to me. The way that they went on about Twitter, they basically did an advertisement for Twitter. They explained how the integration with Twitter deeply into iOS has added to so many additional tweets that people are sending from iOS devices. So it's an ad for Twitter. They're really encouraging people to tweet, not just to the public, but to their friends and family as a new way of sending messages and status updates. That's really Facebook's market. They're in direct competition with Twitter in that market, in that arena. And for them not to be on the new Mountain Lion integrated, but just tiny into the iOS as really an afterthought to Twitter, I'm surprised. If either Facebook's being very tepid with that, or they have a competitive reason not to go further.
I agree with you. We have a caller here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
What's up, guys? This is Raphael. I'm calling out of Connecticut.
Hey, Raphael, how are you? What do you think of today's announcement? Were you happy with it? Are you disappointed? What did you expect?
Well, I mean, we all expected the iPhone 5. That was like the big thing. There was a lot of rumors going around about even the iMacs getting all those Retina displays, and I kind of thought that was a little far-fetched to see a 27-inch Retina display on an iMac so soon. But I don't know. I was talking to the guys in the chat, and I'm saying, while I was in the cell phone business for 3 years, when the iPhone came out, they set a standard. They set the bar really high, and I'm watching all these really, Samsung. When I don't even remember the name of the phone that they had out, they were trying to catch up for years. Now it seems like a lot of these Android phones, they've caught up to what iPhone's doing, and I kind of said, well, Apple needs to do something to set themselves apart for the next couple of years. I really didn't see that too much from them today.
Well, I think one thing that we kind of got used to over the last couple of years were these big announcements that they were doing. But I think the operating system, I think the phone has matured to the point that I don't think they're capable of doing these huge facelifts, and it's a big risk for a company like Apple to say, okay, you know what, this is iOS right now. It's the most dominant phone on the market. We are going to change the operating system totally. I think that's going to change. I think one thing that I was very surprised at was the ending. I imagined we would have gotten maybe like a silhouette of the new phone to kind of prepare us for the fall, because they did hint that and said, iOS 6 will be out this fall, which is going to coincide with the release of iPhone 5. I think a lot of that goes into play. Now, about the Retina display, Eric and I were commenting during the broadcast. I think the reason why they've kept it at the 15.6-inch screen limit is because of the quantity of displays out there. I don't think they have enough to supply a 11-inch, a 13-inch, a 15-inch, and definitely not a 17-inch.
Right.
I think these are limitations of the hardware that we're working with. But I agree with you. I think a lot of the stuff that we expected were not there. Eric, were you surprised at the lackluster changes to the 13 and the 11-inch?
I was. Now remind me, I think everything got Ivory Bridge, right? Including the Airs?
Everything got it.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah, I think it was time to see an update to the other laptops. It's interesting why they would choose to roll out the next generation MacBook Pro, as they're calling it, with just this one device. And I just right now tried to get onto the Apple Store website, and they're still saying, we'll be back. We're busy updating the Apple Store for you, and we'll be back soon. Because I think that they're probably going to make that extra customizable, which really means the price you're going to pay is higher than $2,200. So it's a really expensive laptop.
Yeah.
Not really the change I expected to see. I thought it would be more of a across-the-board change. No more optical drives, no more hard drives, all Retina, rather than this, it's almost a preview of things yet to come.
Yeah, agreed. Raphael, thank you for your call, man.
All right, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. We have another call here. Caller, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Well, it's almost a preview of things yet to come. Yeah. Raphael, thank you for your comment.
We got a delay,
That's you.
And there we go. No,
It's you calling.
Yeah, guys, remember, when you're calling in, turn off the audio from the speakers from us, because there's going to be a big delay there. I'm very surprised at it. I am. Here's another call. Let's go to this. Call, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm from London.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
So what do you think of the WWDC announcements? Are you happy with it? What were you expecting?
I was kind of happy with the MacBook Pro, but I like the iOS 6. but was expecting, because in London you can't get location on Siri.
Okay.
I was kind of hoping for locations on Siri available in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I'm going to take your call off there because I'm having some feedback, but I'm going to answer that question. I do agree with them. I think that this is something that they're going to have to eventually work into it, because the more they're getting into the mapping business and the navigation business, they're going to have to incorporate this for other countries. I think this is just a trial for them at this point. $21.99 for the 15.6 inch. Yeah, I just remember. But no, I think this is just a trial for them, the mapping. I don't know if the software, they're that confident in the software yet to kind of expand globally. I think
what was the caller's issue, that it's not available in the UK?
In the UK, yeah, turn by turn wouldn't be available.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I'm very interested in that to see when they're going to expand it. Does Google do it on their Android phones? Are they doing turn by turn?
I don't remember. I think they do. Yeah, some kind.
It is interesting. The Retina stuff though was the big story in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think Google's does audio though. Like this has Siri's
voice.
Electronic voice. I don't think Google's does the voice.
So the Retina to you was the biggest change, I guess.
Well, yeah, I'd say biggest letdown.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think they put it into a product that is more of a niche market than even the MacBook Air.
What for such a specific, I guess, device, right? 15.6 inch device at a $21.99 price point. It's very
because they
specific,
showed. Yeah, it's like I'm not really sure who that's targeted for. I think they put it out there ahead of their really good pricing schedule. I'm sure that Tim Cook knows when the supply is going to get cheaper and when they're going to really ramp up production of this new generation MacBook Air. Actually, it's interesting. I was going to say Steve Jobs wouldn't have done that. Maybe he would, but I don't think they've ever done an old generation and new generation product besides the iPhone that existed on the market at the same time with the same name. One says the next generation and the other just says the current generation. You know what I mean? That's weird for Apple.
Yeah, it's kind of and look at the phone line. They're still supporting the 3GS.
Well, that's nice. I really give them big props for making those free updates available, because that's one of the things that's really kept the iPhone a better value than many Android handsets.
Is because of the free, the constant updates. Another big announcement was Mountain Lion is going to be $19.99 rather than the $29.99 price point. It's going to have Facebook integration, the Power Nap for SSD devices, dictation, which is going to be a huge part, in my opinion, for many people that are writers, bloggers, people that email constantly all day. I think this is going to be a huge feature for them.
Taking notes really quickly, you bet. Yeah. I'll use that a lot.
Yeah, we got another caller here. Let's answer this. Caller, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, what's up, guys? This is Sean. I'm in California.
Hey, Sean. How are you? So what did you think of this, the WWDC conference?
I mean, I like the Retina display on the MacBook. I know we were looking at trying to figure out how much the configurable model was going to be for the higher end. I mean, the store's not up, but it looks like if you want to get the 512 gigabyte flash drive, it's going to be $2,800, and you go from a 2.3 to a 2.6 processor. So it is saying configurable up to 768, which I think if you're going to do the 768 gigabyte flash drive, you're going to be well over $3,000.
Yeah, and you also have to remember, I mean, look at the RAM. Look at Apple's been notorious at crazy price points for expanded memory.
Yeah, I mean, RAM gouging.
I mean, it says configurable up to 16. So if you're going to take the $2,800 MacBook Pro, the new one, and you're going to add double the memory and 200 more gigabytes of flash storage through Apple, you're looking at probably a $3,700 laptop.
Yeah, and you know what you're getting to
just from previous things, you know.
Have they ever had a laptop that high in the pricing?
I can't remember it unless, I mean, maybe 2 generations ago, a MacBook Pro, the highest one that was started at $2,800 if you configured it. But I mean, we weren't even. That was when Flash was still super expensive. Flash memory is still pretty expensive. I mean. Just last year, I built a computer. The 64 gig flash drive with SSD was still $120.
Yeah, I mean, I just got an SSD, and I bought a 256 gig SSD, and I paid. It was a good deal. It was like $149 for that. It was a crazy good deal. So it's come down, but I mean, it's still fairly expensive. You're looking at almost a terabyte of flash storage, and I'm actually curious on what's that going to cost for that upgrade. I mean, maybe $1,000, Eric.
It's going to be a lot, and it makes me wonder. I started to say who that's targeted as or for. They showed Final Cut Pro. They showed Photoshop. Those would be great for a display, for the Retina display. Although it's not the biggest screen, we don't even know yet if it's the most color accurate screen. And to only have a 256 gigabyte internal drive to be your HD video editing machine.
Our caller, I'm sorry, Sean, I think this is how you phrase it, but you said, who's this targeted as? It's very expensive, but they have been talking about phasing out the Mac Pros. This is their way of phasing out a Mac Pro. They're going to put everything in the MacBook Pro, their higher-end MacBook Pro. They're going to say, hey, listen, get the MacBook Pro, buy one of our displays, here you go.
Yeah, well, like you were saying earlier, it's interesting that they didn't. I mean, I know they took away the MacBooks as a whole product line not too long ago, but it's interesting that they didn't change the current MacBook Pros to the new MacBook, keep the MacBook Air, and keep the new one as the MacBook Pro. Also, I mean, they're targeting the people with Photoshop, stuff like that. Obviously, Apple's native apps are going to be upgraded for the resolution, but we don't know how long it will take for some other companies to get on board with the new resolution. I know Diablo 3 will be upgraded, but I don't think a true gamer is going to look for a $3,000 MacBook Pro for his gaming laptop.
No, I agree with you, Sean. Thank you for your call, man. Great call.
Thank you.
I agree with him. I don't think it's the gamer seat they're really targeting. I think they're targeting, and I'm trying to gain control of this mouse. There we go.
Yeah, you're right. It's not the gamers, and as we know, games usually have to be tuned down for best performance and frame rate to much lower than the native resolution of the display, especially for a non-gaming laptop. So yeah, I mean, even though they gave it a full gigabyte of video RAM to drive that Retina display, you're not going to be playing Diablo 3 at the 5 megapixel resolution.
For people just tuning in, you can watch us on a number of our websites. We're on Stickem.com, we're on Ustream, we're on Justin.tv. Also, we have a website, gfqlive.tv is our website. We have a chat room there. You can watch on any number. We're also live streaming on Stitcher. If you're listening on the go, you can listen live on the Stitcher mobile app. I'm Andrew Zarian. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Zarian. And I'm also joined by the very luxurious-looking Eric Lanigan.
Luxurious
looking. You're very comfortable. You can follow Eric on Twitter at Eric Lanigan. Also, check out his website, ericlanigan.com, for any Eric Lanigan updates. We got a caller here. Caller, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Gerald. I'm calling from Toronto.
Hey, Gerald. How are you?
My question is about, I think having FaceTime on 3G, that should have been there years ago. My question is, will it work seamlessly from 3G to Wi-Fi and back, or will you have to end the call and then start it again when you go onto 3G or Wi-Fi?
That's a good question. I believe it's going to drop you. I don't know if there's a seamless way of doing the switch. Eric, are you aware of anybody being able to do that?
No, they also really glossed over that, didn't they? They did not go into details about whether it would be all carriers, whether Verizon and AT&T would support it. And you're right, the handoff from cellular to Wi-Fi is pretty important, and they didn't mention it.
What it could possibly do to be seamless, I believe Skype does this. It won't totally drop it, but it'll cut it for a couple seconds until it reconnects and reconnect you automatically, so you don't have to do it. If they're able to do that, I think that's a far better way than just killing the connection. Also, one interesting thing that they noted was they didn't use the term 4G or 3G. They said cellular. I think you caught that, Eric. And I'm curious on why they called it cellular. Now, I don't know if it's going to work on 3G. They never said 3G. They just said cellular.
What I'm actually wondering is if they would actually do an audio-only version over 2G, if that's even possible. Like, let you hop right over the voice network.
Oh, you're talking about if the connection drops, let's say you really get into a bad area.
Well, yeah, they kind of be like Skype, or to have a free phone that you can use to call people, essentially VoIP, and avoid using your minutes. Although, yeah, it's weird. I'm looking on their website right now to try to find out why wouldn't they have just said over 3G and 4G. I don't think they've ever used just the word cellular before.
So I'm on their website right now, at the Apple website, and they're separating the product.
I
Go
just
ahead.
figured it out.
Go ahead.
I just figured it out. It's because they haven't. What am I thinking? There is no 4G iPhone.
There is no
That's
4G,
coming
yeah.
this fall.
Yeah.
So this fall they'll say over 4G. It won't be over 3G. You watch. It'll be only over 4G.
Yeah.
And because they haven't announced the 4G product, it's why they use the word cellular. That's your answer.
Yeah, that's actually, how do we oversight? That's a big oversight on my side too. That's actually very good, Eric. Very good catch. One interesting thing, I'm on their website. That's in your court, Eric. I'm looking on their website, and there is a huge separation between the MacBook Pro 13 and 15 and the MacBook Pro with Retina. That's how they're separating this.
Wait, say it again. They're calling it
MacBook Pro with Retina and MacBook Pro 13 and 15 inch, and they're separating. They're in two separate categories on their website.
Weird. I have to think that's partly for supply issues, manufacturing, how fast they can ramp up the manufacture of Retina products.
Now,
screens. And the second has got to be because they've got to give developers time to readjust their apps and reformat them to look the best with the Retina display.
Now, there's going to be a big confusion because we understand, and I'm sure Gerald understands, that, okay, this is a Retina MacBook Pro, and this is a 13-inch and 15-inch MacBook Pro. If I'm an average consumer now, and I see my friend has, let's say, the MacBook Pro with Retina, and I go into a Mac store and I go, I want the 15-inch MacBook, and I buy that, I'm going to be very disappointed if mine doesn't have the Retina display. How are they going to distinguish that this is a special model than this one? How are they going to condition the consumer to think not size, but think, upgrade?
And and the other good question is, why wouldn't they have built it in as an upgradable feature to the existing MacBook Pro line? Why did the Retina display have to come in a smaller case? They could have stuck it in the same panel, I would think, with the same backlight and other case technology of the existing one.
Very interesting. Gerald, any more questions? That was a good call.
Well, just back to the FaceTime, I think there'll have to be a handoff. If you have to end the call and then restart it again on 4G or whatever it is, I think that's ridiculous. If they can hand it off between Wi-Fi and 4G or 3G or whatever it is, that'll be fantastic. Everybody will use it, and I think that's what everybody's been waiting for on FaceTime, because that's why most people don't use it, because it's such an aggravation that you can only use it on Wi-Fi. That, there's got to be a handoff. It's got to be seamless. So will that happen, or am I just looking into the clouds?
I think what they're going to do, it'll probably drop it and reconnect it automatically. That's probably going to be the most seamless way of doing it. As soon as it drops a network and it reconnects, it'll auto-connect to that connection. I know that Google does this with Google Voice.
Well, yeah, that's perfect. If it can do that, I think that's fine. That's great.
Yeah, I guess we have to hang on and see what they do. I mean, until then, we're all speculating. But that's actually a really good question to find out, what it does. Also, the battery. Thanks a lot, Gerald. I'm going to take another call. I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. My other question is, how different is the battery on the Retina displays compared to the standard 13 and 15-inch display?
I think they must have used the additional space not occupied by the optical disc or drive or by the hard drive for the extra battery. It's a little thinner, but it's not that much thinner. By the way, I think earlier they showed that they said it's as thick as the MacBook Air in the back. The MacBook Air has that wedge shape. It tapers down. So back to back, it's the same, but it's that same thinness throughout.
Okay, so it wedges a little.
No, this doesn't wedge. I'm saying if you put the Air wedge and the new next generation Pro together, it's the same size in the back, but then the Air
gets
down.
thinner. I guess they have to keep a difference. I know a lot of people were saying, well, they're probably going to go to the Air size. Everything's going to be the Air size now. And I think they're able to do it with this device. I think it's strategic not to go that thin with the device. They want to keep a separation between the Air and the standard and the MacBook Pro. Eventually, that line is going to be blurred, and all you're going to have is a MacBook and a MacBook Pro. The Air name is going to be gone because they're all going to be super thin.
And I actually took a look at their update to Aperture, which is kind of, it's a minor update. As someone who, around 2004 to 2008, I think was the last time Apple really made a big push into their Pro apps with Final Cut Studio and Aperture and Logic. they're kind of letting that languish now with the possible death of the Mac Pro. Final Cut Pro became more Final Cut Pro or Final Cut prosumer, you could almost call it. I think Aperture with this latest update has become a little bit more prosumer, actually.
I've even heard people refer to it as iMovie Pro.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it certainly is not up to par with Final Cut Pro 7. But the new Aperture has a unified library. So it's the same library that you share with iPhoto and Aperture, which kind of confuses the issue. It's like, why not just make it in a downloadable upgrade to iPhoto than calling it a separate program with a whole separate interface you have to learn? The interface looks like it has become more like iPhoto. So I don't know. I can't really tell yet if that is a regression. If Adobe Lightroom, for instance, is more appropriate for professionals. I don't know.
We have a couple
Doesn't
more.
even say a price.
We have a couple more minutes here, but I did want to discuss this topic on hand. How does this affect the entire notebook market? Apple has been known for their looks. That's what really separates Apple products. And the light just flickered. Wow, that was weird. That's what really separates the Apple products from, a standard PC product. I think they all pretty much do the same thing at this point, but it looks a lot prettier, Apple products. How is the PC market going to compete with the overall, Retina display that they have now that they don't? PC does not have a Retina display. Thunderbolt, which they're pushing, it's pretty much everything you wanted in a laptop in this device, and it looks great, and it's super thin. How are they going to compete with this? I know the Ultrabook was the answer, but how long until they get their hands on these Retina displays?
They're going to compete on price, I think, because for right now, the Retina display is prohibitively expensive to the sort of $500 netbook and Ultrabook market. Only when you get up to the really high-end professional or luxury line laptops can you then even consider the new Retina display one, as long as you're talking about the PC price ranges.
Yeah, I mean, what would a PC be priced at if you put the same pricing, the same body type, and the same display? How much of a pricing difference will there be? That Apple Premium, would that be, is that line blurred now?
Yeah, and the other question is, do they have the supply locked up? We know Apple makes huge advanced purchases, like they would buy up all the flash memory available at a given time, well into the future, lock up that international supply. They could easily have done that with the Retina displays. I think we heard, didn't they do that with the iPad-sized Retina displays and the iPhone? They basically own the market, own all the supply chains.
Well, the story was that they have kind of bought the supply chain to the point that I think there's like a 14-month. They have the supply chain up to 14 months. So we will not see a PC manufacturer using their type of displays for up to 14 months. Now, I don't know how accurate that is. I know we are starting to see these high-density displays. I know that Windows 8 will support it. I know Samsung is one of the main people pushing this, but
I was just going to say Windows 8 is they've actually done a whole Microsoft blog post about how Windows 8 is going to be able to support the high DPI displays. They don't call them Retina, but they are talking about doubling height, doubling width, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the big picture here. That's going to be the big story. How soon will companies like Samsung, Lenovo, Acer, all these companies start putting it on their products? And we don't know. I mean, this may be the Apple thing. They get the leap ahead of them, and they have the advantage for 6 to 10 months until they start putting it out. I think we'll start seeing it at CES next year. We'll start seeing more and more PC manufacturers putting Retina displays in their products. But how soon after will we get it in our hands?
This will definitely be a tipping point. I think a lot of LCD manufacturers will see this Apple announcement and go, okay, now it's time. We have to be in this business. Now there is a market for high DPI displays. We've got to be in that space. So I think production internationally will ramp up as a result of Apple's announcement, putting that in a laptop. But yeah, I think you're right about CES will be when we first start seeing more Windows-based computers coming out with that.
The one big thing that I'm surprised about was the lack of Apple TV development news. I really thought they were going to open up the SDK for development for Apple TV.
For what were you looking for? Like games?
Apps? Yeah, to kind of go into the next generation of what this device will be.
Well, what would the controller be?
Maybe your iPod Touch. I don't know. See, that's the interesting thing. What would they develop? Maybe first they would open it up for film content. applications for video, movies.
Like for editing?
No, to watch movies.
Like for watching internet content.
Yeah, internet content. And then they would open it up after that to gaming. I'm curious because this is going to be the thing, right? Everybody's talking about Apple TV. I don't think we're going to get a display TV. I think we're going to get a television that kind of changes the way that we do TV, a device. It's a set-top box.
Retina TV.
A Retina. I know. I don't think we're going to get that. And that's, can you imagine a 46-inch Retina display? What are you going to be able to watch on that?
I can see every pore on the newscaster's face.
Yeah, it's 4K pretty much, right?
Yeah.
That's what it would be.
Yeah, that'd be ridiculous because, I mean, you're broadcasting in 1080p.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question about the gaming with the Apple TV set-top box, I think they want to keep the controller as the iPhone and the iPad. And I think for other strategic reasons, having the gyroscopes, the motion control, the touch screen right there, they don't really want to have a separate CPU or a separate game controller controlling a faraway TV device. I think they want every kid to have an iPad and an iPhone. They want every member of the family to have their own device. And then if other people want to watch or join in, or maybe play some kind of a unified game like through Bluetooth-enabled or Wi-Fi-enabled multiplayer that would then show the output over the Apple TV. I think they're probably going to use AirPlay, it looks like, as opposed to letting developers develop specifically for the Apple TV and to be rendered by the Apple TV.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess that's their approach with this. But very interesting stuff. Some great stuff, some not so great stuff, little tweaks here and there. But I think overall it was something that they needed to do. We're going to get the big iPhone announcement in the fall. Then we're going to get the next generation iPad announcement the following year. So we're seeing the shift in the way that Apple handles things. It's WWDC, iPhone, iPod announcement, and then the iPad announcement. So they're going to 3 events a year, which I think it's the right way to do it.
Do they still do an iPod announcement?
The iPod announcement will probably be the iPhone announcement now.
I'm sure. Yeah, I don't even remember when they did that last. I think they kind of just they slipped the iPod Touch updates under the radar.
Yeah, because listen, it's not a big market for them anymore. This is what they're doing now. So thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. We're going to wrap up the coverage here. Once again, you could go to ericlanigan.com. You could also follow Eric on Twitter at Eric Lanigan. I'm Andrew Zarian on Twitter. You could follow me on my website, andrewzarian.com, or you could go to gfqnetwork.com for all our shows right there. Eric is joining us this Friday. I'm sure we're going to be talking about this on Friday, too, in detail with more information coming out.
Yeah, we did the whole thing over again.
The whole thing, we get to do it all over again at the end of the week. We open the week and we close the week with Apple stuff. Eric, thanks a lot for coming. Thanks a lot for joining me. And we'll see you, I guess, next year, everybody, for WWDC 2012. We'll see you all next year. Goodbye.